Hey everyone, Aladdin's Castle here. I am with JBaum, another incredible player out of the Chicagoland area. He won many big events and topped several others. He even has some impressive Pixelborn performances he could also attest to. But before we dive into what he played during the Stitch Store Championships, JBaum, why don't you introduce yourself, maybe your background in TCGs, and what led you to playing Lorcana?
Sure. Well, my name is Jeff Baumgartner, but I go by the handle JBaum. And I originally played Yu-Gi-Oh! Back from Yu-Gi-Oh!'s inception through about 2008, where I was hyper-competitive in that and sponsored and went to a lot of the big events and topped a few of the big 1,000-person Shonen Jump championships and won. My big accomplishment was winning a Crush Card Virus promo back in 2007. Nice. With a very off-meta deck that was used that day and never seen anything close to that type of deck ever again in any tournament. So,
cool.
But then I got into Lorcana because actually my buddy from Yu-Gi-Oh! He owns a store in the area now and told me to come buy packs on the day of the release, and I was like, I actually really like this game, so I just kept playing and getting more accustomed to it. And,
okay, I like that story. Yeah, nice. And then that led you to here. That's
yeah,
cool. It's great that you transitioned from Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day, leading into Lorcana. Now leading into the Stitch events, you perform very strongly in these piloting Ruby Sapphire, right? Can you talk about your approach going into these store championships and why you decided to play this deck?
Yeah, so I played Red-Blue all of set 2 actually, which most people would find surprising. I played the Grand Pabby OTK because really the only meta that existed was Steel Song, Blue Steel, and Ruby Amethyst. And Grand Pabby had an over 50% win rate versus all of those, and so I was performing pretty well with that. And then when the new set came out, I thought Emerald Steel Discard would be really good with Bucky, and then I was not doing well with it and got kind of frustrated, and then I kind of went back to Discord where someone was having some success with Blue-Red, so I think about a weekend, or not even a weekend of the set, like the first tournament of the set that Tia hosted as a Pixelborn tournament. I just randomly decided I'm going to play Red-Blue after going like 15-0 the day before on Pixelborn, and have not looked back since or even tried like another deck really. I just I'm the greediest player you'll ever meet, and so I just naturally find Be Prepared to be my crutch in most decks, and so I think besides set 1, a couple of Steel Song matches, I have played Be Prepared in every deck list as a 4 of, so that's kind of my favorite card and my crutch to say that I lean on. But Red-Blue I just felt has very strong matchups with being able to hyper ramp into a board clear and then just kind of take over the game from there. And so it's also just way up in my playstyle and very fun to draw cards and kill everything and then eventually get lore. Because you barely get lore with the deck until you just already know you've won the game.
Okay, nice. I like your explanation on finding the right deck. You tried Emerald Steel and it wasn't for you, and then you switch it up to Ruby Sapphire, so you found something that works for you. That's awesome. So yeah, basically all your hard work paid off, the grind. You did Pixelborn and a lot of local tournaments and everything. How many Stitches did you win, by the way, and what stores did you take down?
I won 5 Stitches out of the 5 tournaments I played in. I got 3rd place at Fox Valley Mall, Gamers World. I got 2nd place at Pastimes and Niles, and then I got 3 first place at Hot Sauce Games, Sully's Abode, and Card Pop.
Holy cow, that's awesome. So you brought home, was that 5 Stitches or?
Yeah, 5 Stitches. I lost 4 matches in those 5 tournaments.
Okay, and speaking of Stitch, you actually brought this awesome, I think it's courtesy of Hot Sauce Games.
Yeah.
Take a look at this real quick. They made a specific championship Stitch trophy, so that's pretty sweet.
I wanted this trophy so bad.
Did you? Okay, that's awesome. Well, it's well deserved, and I think people are ready to see what's in your deck. So, without further ado, let's dive into the list.
Yeah. So I'll start with kind of the low costs here, so you can see what my early turns look like. But basically,
Oh, you're good.
Basically, I'm wanting to open with a Popsicle. If I miss Popsicle, I'll keep it develop your brain, and sometimes I'll keep a Shield of Virtue if I don't have a Popsicle and I have a Flaversham 1-jump, but I'll rarely keep that. But sometimes it makes sense just so you have the, I call the Popsicle or Shield into 1-jump Flaversham almost an unbeatable first 3 turns.
Yeah.
If you get that, it is very, especially if you're first, it is very hard to come back and lose that game.
Okay.
And then I have 2 queens for some answers for early game. I really do not like that card. I want to cut it so bad. It is the worst top deck, but you have to have.
You need it against aggro.
You have to have some answers to some early aggro. But funny enough, against like Emerald Steel, it's better just to not even play her against the Merfolk because you just lose so much card advantage that I'd rather just ink her and get to the
deal with it later.
Get to the Medusa or be prepared and just hope they don't have Ursula.
Okay.
I'm on 1 Judy Hops for these tournaments. I've actually cut it since, so that's just there for like flutes. A lot of people think to use it for dimes and such, but it's not very possible to consistently beat the dime. You have to actually draw the Judy while they have a dime out, and in those like 2 to 3 turns before you die. So it's very unlikely that you actually ever hit a Judy.
Do you ever consider as like a 2 of or 3 of, depending on like the meta, a lot of blue reds and.
Yeah, when I'd go to locals and know the people playing, and there was like a lot of flutes, I would go to 2 Judy. But besides that, I would be at 0 to 1 max. And then obviously you got your Fishbones, which is just your
standard ramp package.
Your standard ramp package that blue is desperate for, and the only reason you really play blue.
Right. Just to get up there.
I'm on 2 bells for the finisher because this deck, as I was saying earlier, you just don't get lore until you claim the board, and then the bell just speeds up that chance to win in a couple turns as opposed to Medusing to 20 over the course of like 9 turns.
Okay. Did you ever wish that you had like a 3rd bell or maybe a 4th bell?
Sometimes, but they're just so bad early and so good late. It's
a good ratio at 2 for you.
I want 3, to be honest. I probably would have put in 3, but I have my master set in a binder, and I only have 6 bells, and I really just didn't feel like opening 6. The binder. So
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And I'd have to probably cut a Grandma or a Develop, and I really like Grandma as a top deck. There's never a bad time. I'm never disappointed to have a Grandma in my hand. She's always useful.
Shout out to all the grandmas out there.
Yeah, I don't like when people smash her though. Those steel players.
Yeah, that's true. They get rid of her and
then. She's just one of the most consistent cards, and I'm a player that I like to do the same thing in every game. And blue-red top decks a lot, and having this is one of the best top decks in the game to just get you out and get what you need, and putting bad cards on the bottom.
Yeah, find your options and your play line there.
And then obviously we have the MVP in Flaversham, which don't really need to talk about him. He's just busted card and one of the best cards that blue has, and its disposal.
Did a lot of your opponents try to get rid of Flaversham? I know it's a really sticky card to get rid of.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting card, especially I'll talk about the Emerald Steel matchup where how my way to beat Emerald Steel is to get a fast Medusa out and then follow it up with a Flaversham because they have a choice there. They can either continue to quest for the win, or they can commit 2 to 3 cards to killing Flaversham, and so they're put in this awkward situation. And most of the time they go for the win, but then I'm able to draw the cards off Flaversham to either get Be Prepared or some other removal and then close the game out. So it's
a good distraction for them too, because it's like now they're taken away from their win condition. Now they have to concentrate getting rid of Flaversham. Yeah. And the longer that the game goes, you're more likely you're going to close them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And then How Far I'll Go. This was a card that I tested early and absolutely hated. And I was wrong on. And the reason I was wrong on it was because I was not playing the 1 jump ahead back then.
Oh, gotcha.
And so the difference between How Far I'll Go with 1 jump ahead and without 1 jump ahead is insanity. So now you can keep 1 jump ahead and How Far I'll Go and play a Medusa on turn 4.
Turn 4, right.
And playing a Medusa on turn 4 basically wins you the game versus Emerald Steel. And that's one of the biggest matchups I've been teching for the Stitch tournaments. Because I was just afraid of that deck's power going into there. And I figured it would be what most people are playing. And then my meta is very, very heavy Steel Song and Blue Steel. So I figured I'd get a couple easy wins there. And as long as I can beat Emerald Steel consistently, I'll be in good shape. And I ended up playing Emerald Steel 6 times and going 5-1 against it.
Okay, wow, okay. That's awesome. And it's good that, you play a lot of 4-drops, so you can even sing with how far you'll go. You'll have several targets to sing with.
Oh, yeah, and How Far I'll Go's best friend
Yeah.
is
Put
Maui.
some use to Maui.
Yeah, Maui just sitting there is like, this guy is one of the best cards in the deck and also the worst top deck there is.
Right.
So getting some use out of him with How Far I'll Go is just a fantastic feeling.
Sure.
And then I'm probably in the minority for this next card here, but for Let It Go,
Wow, 3 Let It Goes. Okay.
3 Let It Goes.
Explain your reasoning for the 3.
Again, with Maui, just singing, being able to sing and kill something. What really shifted was I was against Let It Go for the longest time, but I was struggling to play Tamatoas, because the opponents are at like 14 to 16 lore lots, so you can't afford to play the Tamatoa turn instead of a Medusa or Tremaine to kill something.
Okay.
And so Let It Go lets you play your Tamatoa, get an item back, and put your win condition on the board, and then you can sing this with a Maui or another character out, and then it's really just the value of being able to develop the Tamatoa earlier, whereas I just have to remove every target after every target and never have time for Tamatoa to come out. And so that's kind of the main reason that I like 3. And also, I ran into the craziest amount of Mufasa decks at these set champs.
I was just going to mention that around the Chicagoland area, I think there's a good amount.
At past times in particular, I think I played Mufasa 4 times in that tournament.
Holy cow! Okay, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to include that, and that's a perfect answer to Mufasa decks.
And then the star of the show really is the meta Medusas. I switch constantly between
the ratios of Tremaine and Medusa.
4 Medusa and 1 Tremaine, or 3. I'm on 3 Medusa and 2 Tremaine, and that's really just how much mirror matches I'm expecting. Okay. So the Tremaine is better in the mirror match, where the Medusa is better versus
steel heavy stuff. And
the steel decks and just across the board really. Okay. But without Lady Tremaines in the mirror match, it's very hard to kill Tamatoa.
Right.
I have a more chance with the Let It Goes, but if you let Tamatoa live a turn, you lose. Like 90% of the time. Yeah. So you have to have an answer to Tamatoa in the mirror match. I hate the mirror match. I'm a big player that I will go off meta as much as I can, so it's kind of funny that this deck became the meta, because I've been playing it for so long with it not being in it. But I just really hate mirror matches that much that I try to avoid
as much as possible. Okay.
The mirror matches.
Bad matchup.
Because in other matches you can use your play to get out of them and win a lot, but in the mirror match it really truly is a lot more of a luck battle with who had the better start, especially with the 1-jumps and Flavershoms.
Okay.
I've been on 2 Scar since November 15th of set 2, and
that is a very specific deck, but that's when the set came out.
And I think I might have gone down to 1 for like 1 tournament, but I've loved Scar. I've been raving about Scar forever. This is your key to beating Emerald Amethyst. Just getting a Scar out early just crushes it, because they have all 1 and 2 health guys.
3 for 1s, 4 for 1s, I'm sure.
I started the set with Magic Golden Flower and Scar, because Scar can then hit, as opposed to my Shield of Virtues.
Okay.
Which eventually I finally switched to Shield of Virtue, and the Shield of Virtue I liked better as Magic Golden Flower. Okay. But actually, since Let It Go came in, and being able to play those Tamatoas more, the Shield has gained so much more value than previously, because you're able to now quest with the Tamatoa, get your card back, use Shield, sing a Be Prepared, sing a Let It Go, or just attack something. And so Shield has actually, I think, been
a lot of uses.
The most deserving, or MVP of the set champs. It did just so many broken things with basically pay 3 to play Let It Go or sing Let It Go. It just gave me some really just disgusting turns.
Yeah. Options, and it's not only just a Flavorsham target. Now you have all these utilizations for it too. So
also, it doesn't happen often, but hitting a couple guys with Scar and then singing How Far You'll Go is just a chef's kiss.
That's awesome.
Of powerful moves.
Right.
And then this is my favorite card in the game. I just like to ruin people's days with this.
A lot of people like it. Do you think this card will be banned eventually, or if they'd even have a ban list?
I'd prefer not.
That's fair.
But you need cards like this in the game
Yeah.
to make aggro not be so dominant. Because without this or be prepared or grab your sword,
Yeah.
aggro would just be unstoppable, and they'd have no weaknesses. And I
Right.
hate aggro with a passion.
Yeah. That's
I can't play aggro. I have to trade. I have to get the board.
Yeah.
I have to slowly win out. That's why I kind of really liked Lorcana at the beginning of the game, because when you
Sure.
come in the beginning of a game, it's these fair trading games, and
Yeah.
after more and more cards and power creep come, eventually
Yes.
every game degrades into just who drew their combo deck
Right,
first.
right.
And so I like these fair battles of trading for board.
Sure. And there's a lot of answers now. You got Ursula and you got bare necessities. So it seems like every color is going to have an answer for something.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like to balance the decks.
And then Lucky Dime, when this card got revealed, I was playing Grand Pabby at the time, and I said, oh, I can cut 16 cards of my win condition and just replace it with these two,
Yeah.
and not have to punt the first 6 turns of the game.
Right, right.
And then just lose if I don't draw a Fishbone. So I didn't have room for Maui then, and Maui's one of the best cards in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this and I was very excited. A lot of people were not excited for this card, but I was like,
Yeah,
in my
the initial
specific
response
deck,
was pay 7. That's expensive. What am I going to do with this? But
yeah,
once you got Bell out, Tamatoa, yeah, that's just natural to put in. One of your MVPs.
oh yeah. This card, it's very, very polarized, because it's bad in most matchups, but so good in the mirror,
Sure.
so good in against Ruby Amethyst, and basically you play this for the Ruby Amethyst in the mirror match.
Right, they can't get rid of it.
And then it'll win you some games here and there with Steel Song, where you can just play a late Tamatoa because they've discarded it with Whole New World and squeak out some extra lore. But you're usually winning just from having a Tamatoa on board rather than
Yeah,
dying.
right.
But
You're already winning then.
But this card, I hope it gets replaced, because it's not a good card, but it's just it's just required to beat certain matchups.
Closes the matchups.
And the correct number to play is 2.5 of them, because sometimes you just can't draw it. Without Develop Your Brain, I'd probably play 3, because you just need to get it in those matchups.
Sure.
But with Ruby Amethyst kind of on the decline, maybe 2 is fine now. But
Okay.
that's why I always tell people 2.5 is the right number of
Yeah,
Lucky
no,
Dimes
that
to
makes
play.
sense. Right.
And then Tamatoa, just the only thing besides Bell that gets lore in this deck.
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing better than just dropping a Tamatoa on turn 6 against Emerald Steel, and then they just
You can't get rid of it.
say, okay, I guess we go to the next game.
Right.
'Cause,
They need a Zeus and a Smash and a miracle.
yeah. And then Maleficent is just such a busted card, because inking early and then, or just destroying something. This is one of the greatest top decks, and one of my favorite cards. This was actually the first card I bought. The game came out, I stopped and got some packs and was going to the Dells, so my wife was opening all the packs in the car, and I got one of these Maleficents, and I was like, oh, I want to make a deck based on this. So I made, without even knowing the game, I made Ruby Amethyst, which ended up being the best deck, because I was like, that's the only thing that could is slow enough to fit this. And so it was kind of funny. So that day I bought 3 Maleficents for $18 each, on the day the game came
awesome.
out.
Yeah,
So
the first love, the first pull of a legendary. So
yeah, it was my first pack I got. I think it was the really dark one, so I think it might have been this one.
Okay.
But so that was first pack magic.
That's awesome. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
And then that's the deck, right?
Yeah, that's the deck.
How many cards is that again?
60 cards, I believe 19 uninkables.
Okay.
It's very high on inkables, but I count one jump as half an uninkable, and then how far.
And stuff.
Yeah, and then with Fishbone it makes it easier, but I'm a very aggressive mulliganer. A lot of people play this deck differently and mulligan and just keep ink. I mulligan 4 to 6 cards every game, because I want that one jump, I want that Fishbone, I want that Popsicle, and I want that Flaversham. Although I send Flaversham back against Whole New World decks, because you need a board rather than card draw.
Sure.
So Grandma is actually, I keep Grandma in that matchup, but yeah, 19 uninkables is
Did you ever think about running McDuck Manor, or was that just not? Was it too slow?
I actually ran McDuck Manor in one of the set championships. That's the only time I changed my deck during the set championships was I put 2 McDuck Manors in for Sullies because there was so much red-blue there. And I believe McDuck Manor is a really bad card, but it's so good in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I played it one time. I inked it every other time. And it was against a Mufasa, and it did get 16 lore in that game. But
Okay. Right.
so it did solo that game. But I just...
You don't think you need it?
It's a win more card, 100%, and it's a terrible top deck. You have to have the board to even consider playing it. So I'm just not a big fan. I was so on it when I piloted this deck at first because it was just so good, and when the set hasn't been figured out and people haven't reacted to it, but. When Ruby Amethyst got more locations, people started playing location killers, which thereby made McDuck Manor also worse of a card. So, no, I don't like that card.
Okay, that's totally fair. It doesn't work for everybody. Speaking about like the deck and everything, like we're already rounding off the 3rd season of the set. The next chapter is going to come out. Are there any cards you're looking forward to maybe add to this deck that you could think of off your head?
I think the only card that I mean, Brawl's really good. It helps in the turn 3 to 5 range where you can't kill an Ursula, and sometimes Ursula just can solo you by swinging friends on the other side, and you're just too far behind. So I like that card. It's not going to change anything heavily. And then I like the 1-drop Give a Rush card because I think that paired with Aladdin, 2 lore that Aladdin steals is really good. Actually, at the beginning of the set, instead of Red Queen, I was playing 3-drop Aladdin. No big drop Aladdin, but I like 3-drop Aladdin just to ink or steal a lore.
Sure.
Because a lot of the Ruby Amethyst or aggro matchups come down to 1 or 2 lore, and so I think that pairing that card with that new Rush card with Aladdin will give some kind of disgusting turns that can keep you in games that you shouldn't be in because of how good of an early game that those aggro decks had.
Okay, that's awesome.
Other than that, I don't think Red Blue gets any help. There's a lot of trap cards like that new Ariel. It's just a bad bell.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
I think the only really good legendary is Diablo, and I really want to do Emerald Amethyst for turn 1 Diablo, turn 2 Bucky, turn 2 shift out Diablo, discard their card, then draw a card from Diablo after I sing my friends on the other side.
Jeez,
I think it's a disgusting turn.
That's
2 turns, but
spicy stuff already.
It won't happen often because that's like a 6-card combo or something. But
you're saying that it can happen.
But it'll happen eventually.
That's awesome. Well, Jeff, before we round it off or anything, are there any shout-outs you'd like to do before we end the video?
Yeah, just thank you to Pavel for creating Pixelborn. I mean, that's really actually an insane thing that he did because it allowed me to just get so many reps on this deck. I think I have probably at least close to 800 games between set 2 and set 3 on this deck.
And you were able to get like top 25 at one point, was that what
I made it to top 25 on hardcore. I have actually not played a game of Pixelborn since set champ, so I've fallen out of top 25. I logged on just to see if I was still there, and I'm not. So,
okay.
But I'm close. I'm a couple of games out, so I just need to get back in. Set champs was the most tiring thing I've ever done, doing 5 of those. Especially being out till like 1 a.m. on a couple of them on the weekday one.
Exhausting.
Yeah, so I hope, like, as much fun as they were, I hope that they don't do it every set.
Which I think they might.
Yeah, which I think they said they are. So goodbye sleep schedule on those. Like, I think I took 5 years off my life from how much sleep I lost on those events.
Right. Well, it was definitely worth it with all the stitches that you won, and you're an amazing player. And thank you again for doing this interview. And we will see you in future events, Atlanta or Chicago maybe?
Yep, I will be at Atlanta in a couple weeks. I actually have to start practicing again because I have literally just taken the weeks since the set champs off until today. So
awesome. Well, thanks again, Jeff. You're an amazing player, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.
Good.
Run.